Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Sansom Sports Media Podcast. We're your hosts, Hunter and Michael, coming at you on a snowy Wednesday afternoon here, early evening. Just wanted to drop in. The college football rankings got dropped yesterday, and we had some huge kind of results last night in college basketball that need to be talked about. So with that, we wanted to get together, kind of drop probably just a quicker 30-minute kind of episode here, just to kind of discuss some of the college football ranking implications, and then talk some college basketball, especially the ACC and SEC challenge that we'll get into in just a second. Mike, how's it going?
Doing all right. We'll go through this 1 through 25 and then kind of discuss what's going on here, and also mention that we're not going to get into the drama that other shows are getting into with who still has a chance and who doesn't.
With that, we will get into a couple of conspiracy theories I have, but as Mike said, definitely, sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. We're going to just
I like that.
do that. Sorry about that. Let's try this one. There we go. You've got football rankings on your feed now. Sorry about that. Don't know what happened, but instead of releasing one by one, you all have already seen the top 25. Here it is. Everybody is wanting to discuss, like Mike was saying, do the Miamis, the Texas, Vanderbilt, Utahs have a chance? I don't really think they do. Maybe the committee could go full conspiracy theory crazy, and if Bama loses big, Miami or Texas could jump in. I don't think that happens, but if it did, it wouldn't be the most shocking thing in my opinion, but we're not going to spend much time on that.
Well, we're not going first off, we're not going further than 15, okay? So Utah, I think we had talked about for weeks, wasn't getting any higher than 12 or 13.
Yep.
And they didn't even play that well down the stretch against rather lesser competition anyway.
Yeah, they're done. Same thing with Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt, great season. If they were going to, move up, you would think they would have after beating Tennessee on the road, and that didn't happen.
Correct.
Because Texas got a better win and beat them, and is now ahead of them. There's nowhere else for Vanderbilt to go.
Yep.
So, my personal opinion, I don't see an avenue for Texas to make it. I just don't see it. There's too far to go up, to me.
I agree. If I were on the committee, I would not have them even considered at this point. They are done. I would probably consider everything above Texas, but I would not consider Texas. That being said, if you want to put your little tinfoil hat on, the committee's done sketchy things to get extra SEC teams in before. Who's to say Alabama doesn't lose by 25 or 30 to Georgia, which I don't think happens, and then Bama fall out, Texas jump up over teams and get in. I'm not saying it's out like it's going to happen, but like the committee's done sketchy things before. So I did want to call that out. Not to get into it too deep, but did want to at least call that out.
Well, but the thing is, you're not getting an extra SEC team there. You're just replacing it with one.
Correct. So I should say, I think they want that 5-bid SEC. And I think they would do some sketchy things to get that. Like jumping Alabama over Notre Dame after citing the win over Auburn as the reason. Because they did that this week.
Yeah.
So I just don't trust I don't trust the committee to look at it from like a lens of anything other than the SEC needs the 5 bids. If Bama gets embarrassed, Texas has a chance to step up. I don't think it happens. I don't think we have this discussion, but I at least want to acknowledge that in case it does happen. That way we can say we talked about it. That being said, where are you at on Miami?
I suppose Miami still has a shot, but I don't really know that they do. So
this is fair.
They're sitting here at 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give me a second here.
While Mike's pulling that up, I will add Miami and Texas both do not play.
So what I was starting to say, the thing with Miami is this. So BYU is ahead of them, in between them and Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Right? If BYU wins, they're going to just hop up into the top 10, right?
Easy switch, yes.
Okay. Now, whether that's at the expense of Notre Dame or Alabama, I don't know.
Agreed.
Other way around. BYU loses. The committee has already decided that BYU's resume at 11-1 is better than Miami's at 10-2.
Correct.
Is a loss on a neutral site to the number 14 by them in the country reason enough to drop them and have them say, well, Miami at 10-2 is better than BYU at 10-2 or 11-2, just because they played another game? I'm not sure there is. So I think there's a possibility that BYU, if they lose, just stays where they are, and Miami is just kind of shut out at that point.
I think that is the easiest option the committee can make with how they've portrayed their rankings to this point. That gets them the easiest solution to their problems. That being said, if BYU goes out and loses by 20 points, I mean, it was 29-7 when they played Tech the first time. Like, if they do that again, there's no rationale to keep them above, honestly, Miami, Texas, Vanderbilt. I would say you'd have to drop them several spots. I'm a little bit harsher, I get that, but I think in that case, that is where, and Hunter Yormack said this after the game or after the release last night, the head of the committee. He did say that a team that does not play, so your Miamis, your Texases, your Vanderbilts, can move up if a team ahead of them were to lose and they wouldn't even play. So let's say Miami and Notre Dame, neither one of them play. Let's say BYU and Alabama both lose. Notre Dame probably moves up. Does Miami jump BYU and then by virtue maybe jump a Notre Dame and jump up into the playoffs? I can't see a situation where you would have them in right now or not have them in right now and then jump them in, but they did leave it open as a possibility.
So they didn't penalize SMU last year when they lost to Clemson in their conference title game.
Correct.
If they're not going to penalize SMU, they're certainly not going to penalize Alabama.
I meant to say Notre Dame, and when I said Alabama,
no, I know.
Bama will not be penalized.
No.
I think Bama is pretty much a lock to get into the playoffs.
I do too.
All of the
I think those top 8 for sure are locks, and I think Alabama is in too.
Agreed.
Notre Dame's biggest concern, obviously, is if Alabama wins and BYU wins, then they're out.
Yeah.
It's just that simple.
I would almost, that's the 95% chance that's exactly what's going to happen. I shouldn't say exactly what's going to happen. That is the likely scenario in that case. If BYU loses, there is some concern for Notre Dame, in my opinion. There's concern either way. But if BYU were to lose and then Miami and Notre Dame be side by side for the last spot, it's going to be very, very difficult to not at least look at the head-to-head for a second.
Yeah. But the thing is, Miami fans not only toss around the 3-point head-to-head win at home in November, but they'll be like, "Whoa, we beat this common opponent by more than Notre Dame did." And when I look at the games we're talking about, they both played. Let's see, Stanford, right? Yep. They both played NC State, and they both played Pittsburgh and Syracuse.
Yep.
Okay. So they'll be like, well, we beat Stanford 42-7, and Notre Dame only beat them. But let's see, what was their final score with when they played? Notre Dame, when they played Stanford, it was 49-20.
Yeah.
Okay. When Notre Dame played Pitt, it was 37-15, and Miami beat them 38-7, and we're talking about non-important differences of just straight blowouts.
Yeah.
None of the games were in competition at any, in the second half, really.
Correct. If we were, to give a better example of what would be used as a common opponent, Texas and Miami both played Florida. Florida beat Texas, lost in a blowout to Miami. That is a great example of when the common opponents will be used and how they would be kind of clear. The Notre Dame and Miami debate is very difficult to get into with the common opponents. Sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to cut you off.
And then the only one where Notre Dame was better, there's an excuse of, Syracuse was on their third string quarterback. The bottom line is they blew out those common opponents.
Yep.
Yes, Miami has the head-to-head. But Notre Dame did not lose at home to Louisville, nor did they lose to SMU. Neither of those teams are playing in the ACC championship game.
Correct. Yes.
Two other things I want to discuss when it comes to this, which is, what did you think of the decision to put Alabama ahead of Notre Dame after kind of surviving against Auburn in the Iron Bowl?
I think that so Texas beat Texas A&M, which in default made like the Notre Dame loss look a little worse. I think that would have been their better rationale to move Bama ahead of Notre Dame rather than them using, Alabama beat Auburn. Like, I'm sorry, but this is a team that fired their coach, and 5-7. I don't even think they're not even making a bowl game.
Bowl game, no, right?
And you're using that as your reason to jump them up in a rivalry game. I'm sorry, but that was a terrible reason. But they did get it right. They just used the wrong road to get there. I thought that they should jump Notre Dame. Bama has better wins. They have the win over Georgia. That's better than anything Notre Dame has on their schedule. That's better than pretty much any team in the country has right now. So I agree with the decision. I just don't agree with the rationale.
Okay.
How about you?
I mean, A&M dropping from 3 to 7, I don't know that it makes Notre Dame's loss that much worse. I mean, I know it's no longer an undefeated loss, but I
would have rather them use that. It's not necessarily a great rationale. Looking at their resumes, Bama's got the better resume. That's what you should have said. But the rationale, if they wanted to give one, that wasn't the rationale.
I mean, they didn't penalize Notre Dame for the loss to Miami when Miami wasn't playing as well.
Correct.
So now they're penalizing Notre Dame because A&M lost one game in a game that Texas had to win to have any chance, which they don't even have a chance, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah.
So
that's fair. Again, just like semantics of how we got there is more what I was annoyed by, but I do think they made the right decision.
I will say with Ohio State beating Michigan, Georgia is not going to get to number 1, but they certainly can get to number 2 if they win.
Oh, absolutely. I think the likely scenario is Ohio State or Indiana as your winner at 1, Georgia at 2, Tech at 3 if they win, and then the loser of Ohio State or Indiana falling into that. Well, actually, I'll back up. For bracketing purposes, they're not going to put Ohio State and Indiana at 1 and 4. They would put them at 1 and 3 more than likely. So you'll probably just see the winner of the Big Ten end up at 1st, loser end up at 3rd, and then Georgia and Tech at 2 and 4. Apologies, I got myself confused.
Now let's discuss the craziness that is the ACC and how we got to Duke versus Virginia in the ACC title game.
First and foremost, the ACC needs to have a conference about 2 days after the conference championship and change the tiebreaker rules. If that is the tiebreaker they use ever again, then that conference deserves to be a mid-major and deserves to be left out of the playoff if it happens. I'm sorry, but that is the dumbest way that I've seen. Do it on a coin flip, not a computer.
I don't understand it at all, because the other teams that Duke was tied with, they played like none of them.
Correct.
And the only one that they actually did play was Georgia Tech, I think, and they lost.
Yep.
So that
yes,
I just don't understand that. You know, I'm not quite the one that should say, well, they should just put Miami in the championship game, in the championship game, because, well, you know, they're the highest ranked team. Correct. They lost to some of the teams that, or at least one of the teams I think that they're tied with.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's not the issue, but how Duke got there is the issue.
Correct. I know that there were a couple reporters that did say that Miami should just be de facto put in for the good of the conference. No, every bit of integrity that you have as a conference goes with your rules that you set at the beginning of the year. The issue is the rule, not that it happened. Like, the fact that it happened sucks. And I'm not happy for Miami, because honestly, I think Miami should be in the playoff. But the way that it went about, it is what it is. You just have to live with it. But they definitely need to change that rule.
I mean, so we have 7-5 Duke in the championship game against Virginia. If Virginia wins, they'll go to the playoff.
Yes,
I believe.
I agree.
But if Duke wins,
There is no question that if Virginia wins, they get in. I'll agree with you on that completely and wholeheartedly.
Yeah,
Sorry, didn't want to.
Because they're above Tulane anyway.
Correct. Wanted to call that out before we even get started in this next path. Just obviously you can see the screen, but if you're listening on Spotify, you've got Virginia at 17, you've got Tulane at 20, you've got North Texas at 24, and JMU at 25. That is where we're headed. That is the discussion. Go ahead, Mike. Take it away.
I was actually surprised to see North Texas jump into the rankings. I was like, where did that come from?
It really feels like the committee, at least my thought, put themselves in position to where the AAC is basically a play-in game for the college football playoff. And now the Sun Belt, if JMU wins, JMU should, in theory, stay ahead of a Duke if they would win and get that spot if Virginia loses.
I've heard people say that if James Madison loses but UNLV wins, maybe UNLV would also be ahead of Duke. I'm not sure about that one.
I don't think that a winning Duke gets ahead of or stays behind JMU personally, because I don't think the committee will honor that, just to be fully transparent. You think if Duke wins, they'll get in? I have a very hard time believing and being confident that the committee is going to leave out one of the Power 4 programs, just because that's the way the world works. Not because it's right, but I mean, and Manny Diaz said it today. The ACC is going to get, and his quote, the ACC is going to get a bid every single year. Whether that's true or not, I don't know if we're going to have to find out, because I think Virginia wins. But there is absolutely a case where the committee puts Duke in over JMU if both win this weekend.
Yeah, it's possible. I don't like it, but it's possible.
Exactly. I think that both the Group 5 teams should get in over an ACC champ that is Duke, but I don't trust the committee to not do that. It's the same thing with Texas and Miami right now.
We discussed this last week. Yeah. I don't know, if James Madison was playing in the ACC, if they would be whatever it is, 11-1, 10 whatever they are. I do not think, after all is said and done, they'd be 7-5. I think they'd be better than that. I think they'd be 8-4, 9-3 at least.
Yes. And I don't know, I don't believe they've played, but I would probably take JMU straight up on a neutral site over Duke right now.
Yeah.
And I would definitely take either Tulane or North Texas over Duke right now.
Yeah.
That being said, what are your thoughts? Do you think that we get 2 Group of 5 teams? Do you think Duke gets it? Assuming Virginia loses. This is all an assumption that Virginia loses, which is why I clarified that earlier.
I've gotten bit in the past when it comes to college basketball, thinking that they're going to let like an Indiana State in, or an Illinois State, or whoever one of those last kind of mid-major teams is that's kind of sitting out there, just to find out that they put in, USC one year or
North Carolina this last year.
Yes, exactly. So my initial instinct would be, JMU if they win and the American winner would get in, but I've seen too many precedents where that didn't happen. But there's no reason why Duke, even with a win, should be anywhere near the top 25. It's not like they're playing Ohio State in the championship game. They're playing a 17th ranked Virginia team that just lost to Cal.
Correct.
I think, right? I mean,
I have no faith in anything to happen this weekend when it comes to those last 2 spots. I am almost 100% sure that Tulane or North Texas, the winner, gets in. But that last spot, my gut says they're going to put Duke in if they win. My heart says JMU should get it. I don't trust my whole overriding theme is I don't trust the committee, and I think that's coming out here as well.
So I want to clarify, Virginia did not just lose to Cal. They lost to Wake Forest 3 weeks ago. I think it was SMU that lost to Cal. Yeah. So
honestly, I'm hoping that Virginia wins, just because I don't want to deal with the heartbreak that it would be for JMU, or really for just fans in general, if Duke wins and then Duke gets in.
I just want to see Virginia lose so I can see what actually happens.
Same. But at
But
the
I
same
see what you
time, like,
mean.
I just the heartbreak that would bring, or I would love to be wrong. Again, if you're listening to this and you're coming to yell at me, fine, do it. But I want to be wrong here. I just don't trust the committee to do what's right.
Fair. I understand that too. So
That
let's
being
talk
said, go
about
ahead.
these conference title games.
Yep. Go for it.
So first off, we have James Madison against Troy. James Madison, 23.5 points. That is a lot of points. I will take James Madison to win. I think them if Virginia does lose, the better James Madison can win by, the better would further a case.
If they don't cover that 23.5, they're going to have a hard time getting in.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that. We got Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State. Kennesaw State's favored. I have no idea what's going to happen there, honestly.
I'll take Kennesaw State 9-3.
Okay.
I've watched both teams a little bit this year.
Yeah.
I'll take KSU to win that one.
Both teams relatively new to FBS football too.
Yep.
Also,
go ahead.
I'll just take Jacksonville State just for fun. I don't know.
Fair enough. Their running back, Cam Cook, is absolutely elite, so that's not a bad pick by any means. North Texas and Tulane.
Why do you think North Texas is favored in this game? Is there something about Tulane that we don't know about?
No, I was going to pick North Texas straight up anyways. So
were you?
Yeah, I'm not a huge Tulane guy. I know they're 10-2, but I like North Texas, and I think they'll take care of this one.
I'll take Tulane.
Fair enough. And then UNLV and Boise State. I know we just talked about maybe there being a little bit of a playoff in the backdoor implication. I do not believe so. But
Me either.
Boise favored by 4. Does Boise win? Does UNLV win?
This certainly hasn't been a banner year for Boise State, but I'll take them.
And it's at Boise, so I will agree. I'll take Boise as well. And to be clear, if we made these picks on Sunday and you watched them, I apologize. We didn't have lines. We didn't have confirmation of a couple picks. So we wanted to make sure we got them. We did not remember if we did or not, so wanted to do them again tonight. Moving on to BYU, Texas Tech, Saturday at noon. Can the Cougars do it? They retain their coach, got a big NIL budget this week, and can they pull off the 12.5 point upset here?
Texas Tech beat him by 22 the first time?
Yeah, 29-7.
I like Tech in this one.
I do as well. And as we discussed, BYU's not getting in if they don't win. Go ahead.
I do wonder, well, if Tech were to lose, if Oregon might jump into that 4th spot.
I was going to ask you, but
I don't know.
3 Big Ten teams in the top 4
is
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I don't think they would punish Tech for losing a close game.
Right.
If it's a blowout, yeah, we'll have that conversation. But a close one, I wouldn't think so. Miami, Ohio, and Western Michigan for the MAC championship. Give me the Red Hawks.
Okay, I'll take Western Michigan. I don't know.
I don't know. I've seen Miami play a couple of times. I saw them against UNLV and I saw them against Toledo. I was not overly impressed. Western Michigan's favored by 2.5. I'm probably just picking the local team here, but I'll take Miami to pull the upset off there. Georgia and Alabama, 4 p.m. ABC, 4 p.m. Eastern on ABC for the SEC championship. Both of these teams are going dancing or going to playoffs. Mm-hmm. Who do you got? Georgia's favored by 2.5.
I'll take Georgia. Alabama's going to have a little more pressure on them because they're at 9, not at 3, but I think Georgia wins the game.
I think Georgia is playing like one of, if not the best team in the country right now. They've gotten hot late, and I agree. I think they'll roll over Alabama. It almost
kind of felt like they withheld some energy against Georgia Tech for this game.
Yeah,
because it kind of
felt like they were just playing with their food a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it didn't mean anything, but they knew that if they lost that game and beat Alabama, they were in anyway.
Correct. I will say Bama needs to keep it close, or they're going to have a miserable Saturday night into Sunday.
Yeah, Notre Dame might pass them, and then who knows?
Exactly. It'll get sketchy quick. Indiana, Ohio State. Probably should be the game of the day. I know the game day team went to the SEC championship. I think they should have been at the Big Ten. But Lucas Oil Stadium, what do you got? What do you think?
Are you surprised that Ohio State is not more than a 4-point favorite?
No, because I don't think that I think Indiana's offense is getting a lot of credit. And I think that's why you're seeing such a tight line. The over-under's at 47.5. That definitely means that they expect Indiana to score more than the 10 or 15 points that Ohio State's given up all year. So I'll take Ohio State to win and cover, but I'm not shocked that it's not more than 4.
So I believe Indiana will get over the 16 points that
Agreed.
But I think Ohio State's going to win by a couple touchdowns.
I am not convinced that Ohio State's not just the best team that we've seen in a long time. The way that defense is playing is just absurd, and I think their schedule just hasn't allowed us to kind of see their full potential.
Indiana's good, but
agreed.
I do not think they're Ohio State good.
I think this might be a national championship level game where we see this as a rematch in Miami in a couple weeks.
I don't know. I'm trying to say that I'm not sure I'm totally as bought in on Indiana as others are.
That's fair. I doubted Indiana last year. I doubted them coming into this year. They have proved me wrong 2 times in a row. I am full on the Cignetti train at this point. I think they're legit.
I still think Ohio State is the only Big Ten team that really can play with the big SEC teams. But we'll see. We might get to find out in a couple weeks or so.
We should get to find out, at least with Indiana.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. Moving along, ACC championship. Can Duke cause just the ultimate chaos? Pandemonium.
I think so.
I think Duke wins.
Yeah.
Virginia's favored by 3.5. I'm taking Duke to win straight up.
Looks like we may get a lot of points in that game.
I would expect there to not be much defense. The over-under is set at 57.5.
Yeah.
I like the number. I'm not going to take the number, but I do like it.
Yeah.
All right. Quickly, we're not going to talk. We've spent a lot of time talking about the SEC and the ACC and football. Let's turn our attention for just a minute onto the 6-3 performance the ACC had last night against the SEC. For those of you who may still not be all the way into college basketball yet, the ACC-SEC challenge is going in. The SEC absolutely dominated last year, really killed the ACC from a tournament perspective.
14-2.
Correct. And this year, the ACC
not the
was
same.
6-3 after one night. We have wins for Duke. We have wins for
Syracuse.
Syracuse was probably the biggest victory. My team of the night last night was Syracuse. They beat Tennessee. You had North Carolina beat Kentucky at Rupp. Virginia Tech ended up beating South Carolina in a team. Neither of those feel like tournament teams. Virginia Tech could not lose it, though. I think they're the more likely of the two to be a tournament level team.
I agree.
Oklahoma just obliterated Wake Forest in Winston-Salem. I'm shocked. I'll be honest. That one surprised me. That was one of the ones I thought the ACC would win.
It felt like Wake Forest had a little bit of momentum coming into that.
Yep.
Not anymore.
They have lost that momentum altogether.
Their best win is Memphis, and this year, not sure how good that is.
I don't think it's good. That's a conversation for after the football, probably this weekend. But I do not think Memphis is great. Texas A&M took care of Pittsburgh. Ended up winning 81-73 in Pittsburgh. I know, Mike, you had some thoughts on Pittsburgh and A&M. What are your thoughts?
So A&M, rough start to the season. Looking nothing like the team of like the last couple of years or so.
Yep.
Just for the most part, 5 Q4 wins, big, double-digit losses to Oklahoma State and Central Florida. Neither of which are bad teams at all, but not all that competitive in either one. So that was concerning. So they've kind of turned it a little bit in beating Florida State and Pittsburgh. However, I don't know how good of wins those are going to ultimately turn out to be. I don't know how their KPI resume metrics are at 14, but the other ones are at 74 and 97, which seem a little more accurate than the 14.
And the KPI is junk. I'm starting that now. I hate KPI. Go ahead.
Yeah, when it's that far different, there's a problem. Now let's look at what they have left here. They're going to play SMU on Sunday, which is another game they're going to have to win.
Yep.
And then they have 3 what should be wins against Jacksonville, East Texas A&M, and Prairie View A&M. If they don't, well,
there you go.
It's kind of academic. But then, folks, this is not a 13, 14-bit SEC this year. Pretty clearly.
And this is not the SEC that you can go with a losing record. You're probably looking at needing to be 500 in the SEC this year. Go ahead.
Personally, so far from what we've seen, we'll see tonight, but I think Alabama is the best team in the SEC so far. I thought until yesterday that Tennessee might be the second best. Not sure anymore, but here are their home games in conference play, right? LSU, Oklahoma, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Florida, Missouri, Ole Miss, Texas, Kentucky.
And that was A&M's home games, correct?
Yes. There is a possibility that they will not face, by the end of the season, a Q1 opponent at home. I don't think LSU is staying anywhere near the 16 that they're at now. They've played one of the worst schedules in the country to this point. Missouri, up until yesterday, had played the second worst schedule in the country and then lost to
Notre Dame, who's not good.
Not good, right. Oklahoma's at 57 already, only in the net. And that's after beating Wake Forest.
Yeah.
Mississippi State is 3-4 with a net ranking of 176.
And that feels generous for that team.
South Carolina is 5-3 with a net ranking of 120. Florida, this is not the Florida team of last year.
Agreed.
They did play Duke very well. They almost won that game, but overall have not looked. I mean, are they going to be in the top 30 in the net? Maybe. Kentucky still doesn't have a win over the top whatever of the net after losing last
or
night.
Something. Yeah.
I don't know what Valparaiso is now. They're at 223. That's their net best win so far. Are they going to be in the top 30 by the time they play them? Maybe.
Well, so it doesn't matter, just to clarify, it doesn't matter where they are when they play them. It matters where they are at the end of the year.
Yes. So
football
I don't know.
And basketball are so different, so I just wanted to clarify since we transitioned.
Ole Miss, 124 in the net, nowhere near the top 30. Will they be by then? I doubt it. Texas, same thing. So they're going to have to win a lot of home games, and they may not even help them all that much.
I mean, if they do something stupid like go undefeated at home, it's probably going to be good. But they're just not going to have those big marquee opportunities like you had last year.
They're going to probably have to beat somebody of significance on the road.
Agreed. One team I do want to call. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. That was about what I wanted to say with A&M.
Okay. One team we'll get to tonight that I'm very curious about. Vanderbilt.
Yes.
Top 10 team in the net right now, just absolutely rolling. I think they could be that second best team in the SEC that you were talking about. But before we get to tonight's slate, to close up last night, Miami did beat Ole Miss. You had Georgia beating Florida State 107-73. And then you had Notre Dame over Missouri by 5 points. Now, turning our attention to tonight, Vanderbilt, they've played St. Mary's, they've played some decent teams, but they get SMU tonight in Nashville. Huge game. Vanderbilt's favored by 10.5 and looking to go to 9-0. Probably the game of the night's your Louisville and Arkansas game. This is in Fayetteville at 7:15. Louisville
I don't know how good Arkansas is.
I don't know how good. Yeah, that's the issue. This is going to tell me a lot more about Arkansas than it is about Louisville. Louisville gets this one, and then they have Indiana on Saturday. So really a big prove-it week for them. Clemson and Alabama tonight. LSU and Boston College. This is really interesting. LSU's played a terrible schedule. Boston College is certified terrible. I'm really interested to see if LSU can blow them out or if they kind of hang around with Boston College tonight.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, SMU and Vandy. You've got NC State and Auburn, and then Virginia and Texas tonight at 9:15. Both of those tip then. Those are huge games for all four of those teams.
NC State really needs this one.
I would argue all four of the teams need it. I mean, Texas didn't look great in Maui. NC State looked awful in Maui. Auburn and Virginia, while playing well, haven't necessarily looked amazing. So all four of these teams are really in important games that really could help decide whether they make the tournament. Both of these are at the SEC teams. So you've got Auburn and Texas hosting. Very curious. These are going to be games that are cited throughout the season for tournament implications.
Man, Georgia Tech, Mississippi State, yawn.
Yeah, I didn't even mention that one that tips at 9:15. Georgia Tech, that's a great opportunity for them to get a win right there.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think we're definitely probably going to see the SEC kind of close the gap. The 6-3 gap will close a little bit tonight, I would assume. I'd probably take Arkansas and Bama I'd take Bama to win. I would take Vanderbilt to win. Those two feel pretty straightforward to me. I'd probably also take LSU, and the other ones feel like a little bit more of a toss-up. But I would
Auburn and NC State should be interesting.
Agreed. That's probably the most intriguing game of the night. I think if you're looking for like high level basketball, it's probably the Louisville Arkansas game. But I think that NC State and Auburn game is probably the most intriguing result that I'm looking forward to tonight. With that being said, I know we just covered the two conferences. Is there anything else you wanted to hit with college basketball? UConn got a huge win over Kansas last night.
I was going to say, it looks like UConn might be back.
UConn, I'm afraid to say, is back. Did want to call that one out, but other than that, I felt like the biggest things last night. I mean, Michigan State beat Iowa 71-52. Absurd. I mean, Michigan State looks like a top 5 team. The Big Ten, the top 3 in the Big Ten, you got Purdue, Michigan State, all look like legitimate Final Four teams right now.
So I was talking about before the net rankings came out before I did like a top 25 about that I thought it was conceivable to say that 3 of the top 5 teams might be from the Big Ten.
Yes.
And so far from after the net rankings came out and the metrics that go along with it, I put Michigan at 1, Purdue at 3, Michigan State at 5.
Yeah.
And it was tough to figure out what to do with Michigan, Arizona, Purdue, UConn after they all won last night. Michigan, So I just kind of kept them where they were. And then it was like Gonzaga was after that. They were penalized a little bit by how badly they lost to Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah.
I put them ahead of Alabama since they beat them. But, I didn't know what to do with Duke because, they're obviously, one of the better teams in the country. But, Texas is a nice win. They had another one that was decent, but, they weren't that great of wins. And then, so I had them an 8.
That's fair.
I put North Carolina higher up after beating Kentucky last night.
Yes,
They've got 2 nice wins now.
Yep.
So I put them at 11 right behind BYU at 10.
That's probably about where I would have North Carolina at this point.
Kansas and Tennessee obviously had to drop some last night, especially, I don't love having Auburn up at 14.
I saw that and I just cringed a little bit, but I get why you did it. But Auburn at 14 feels wrong to me.
I know, but the USC, Indiana, Iowa, Utah State resume is just not inspiring a lot yet.
Agreed. Yeah.
USC beat Oregon. Oregon, that's another team that's in a world of hurt.
Yeah.
They have a lot of digging to get to the tournament.
I don't know that. I don't know. The Big Ten. So the nice thing for the Big Ten this year is it's going to be similar to what the SEC was last year. You're going to have all of these quad 1 opportunities, but the other issue is anybody going to beat Purdue, Michigan State? Like the way that those 3 teams look right now, those just seem like losses to most of the bottom.
Especially on the road.
Yes.
Those are tough places to play anyway.
You're not going to go into Mackey and beat them as a Oregon or something like that unless things drastically change.
Purdue played Rutgers last night at the rack, and that's usually a tough place for them.
81-65.
Yeah.
And it was worse than that. Purdue let up at the end.
Yeah, right. So
with that, which conference is the best conference in the country? Two days ago, I probably would have said the Big 12.
What changed?
Kansas State lost to Bowling Green. Cincinnati has kind of tailspun a little bit, losing to Eastern Michigan, and then really struggling with Tarleton State before pulling away in the second half.
Utah doesn't look very good.
Utah looks bad. Like the bottom of the Big 12 starting to kind of show some cracks, which happens. Colorado doesn't look great. The Big 10, I think, is the best conference. It's just so big that the bottom of the conference is going to be bad. Yeah. But I think it's a little bit better than the Big 12. But those two are clearly 1 and 2 right now.
Yes.
And it's probably like 1A and 1B. And everybody else is clearly behind.
Who do you think is 3?
It's probably
not that obvious anymore.
It is definitely getting murky. As of right now, I'm SEC 3. ACC a pretty distant 4, but that distance has shrunk. And tonight would go a long way to making that shrink a lot more. I just think the bottom end of the ACC is just so bad.
It's bad. Yeah. The Big East, I think, only has 5 teams in the top. What is it, 50 or 100 of the net?
Yeah, they're. The Big East is a clear 5 and maybe trending towards 6.
And St. John's is not performing yet.
Correct. Creighton
is below the top 100 of the net. Marquette barely beat Valparaiso last night. Yeah. They're 4-4. They don't have bad losses, but they don't have any wins that are significant. Providence doesn't have much of significance. No one else really does. Georgetown, which, you could have argued had one of the top 10 better resumes in the country in the first couple of weeks.
Does not look good.
Not so much anymore.
I will say, obviously, this will kind of wrap up things for us today. The Crosstown shootout for Xavier and Cincinnati is on Friday. That game had looked like it was going to be a Cincinnati runaway for the entire offseason and the beginning of the year. Now, I don't know the line, but Xavier might go into that game favored, or it might be a toss-up. Cincinnati might get a couple points, but it's going to be a very close line. It's going to be a very tight game, and the Big East desperately needs Xavier to win that one.
The loser of that game is going to have a hard time making the tournament.
Neither of these teams are making the tournament unless
you don't think so? Oh, change. Yeah, right.
Maybe Xavier right now is trending up. UC is trending down right now and playing in a harder conference.
Yeah,
I have a hard time seeing either team getting close, but if Xavier can keep shooting 15 and 16 threes a night, they've got a shot to make the tournament just because they'll outshoot teams.
Does Cincinnati break 40 against Houston or Iowa State?
No, they don't. At this point, I don't know that they're going to break 40 against Kansas. Like, it's going to be bad.
They just don't score. I mean, they scored 56 against Eastern Michigan.
Yeah. And to our Cincinnati fans that are out there listening to this, I know you all are in the same boat we are. We're not trying to dump on you guys.
It's what it is.
Wes Miller needs to go, and that's where we're at this point. I'm sorry. But,
yeah.
I know most of you guys agree on Twitter. I'm not getting on here and bashing the Bearcats. That is just where we're at. Mm-hmm. Xavier has shown progress where Cincinnati has regressed. And I hope that Cincinnati can correct that regression, but no signs point to Wes Miller being able to do that at this point.
It would be something if Seton Hall, Butler, and Xavier end up somehow carrying the Big East instead of St. John's and Creighton, but here we are. Maybe.
I do not think – I think Xavier's still 6 or 7 in the Big East. I think there's teams that are much better, and there are teams that are kind of in that same tier with them. They have probably jumped up a tier, and then Cincinnati has jumped down a tier. Seton Hall definitely jumped up multiple tiers at this point. I don't know who the worst team in the Big East is at this point.
DePaul.
It might be back to DePaul, unfortunately. Wasn't gonna go there with you, Mike, but
I don't mind going there. It is what it is.
It is what it is, exactly. But
as somebody that's lived in Chicago or around there for the longest time, I have no problem saying when one of my teams is bad.
This is fair. You are a Chicago guy through and through. Then, as we sign off here, pick the crosstown for me. Xavier or Cincinnati? Straight up, no lines. Who's winning?
Where is the game at?
Xavier.
I'll take Xavier.
cop out. That was the cop out of all cop out answers right there. I understand why you asked where it was, because I feel like Cincinnati hasn't won since 2001. Sorry. So we're talking like 25 years that they haven't won at Centos.
That's crazy.
It's forever. Cincinnati fans are calling it a curse. At this point, it might just be, if they don't win this year, I don't know if they're ever going to win at Centos. Right now, Ken Palm has it as a toss-up, 72-71 Xavier, basically 50-50.
They think Cincinnati's going to score 72 points?
They think they're going to score 71. Ken Palm might be a little wrong there. But, this game's probably in the 60s, and it's going to be decided by the three-point line for Xavier. If they come out shooting well, I don't know that Cincinnati has the offensive power to keep up. Cincinnati, though, their defense is elite. They did hold Louisville to a tough shooting night. So if they could do that to Xavier, they could probably win this one. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to make a pick on this show. I will make my pick in my article that comes out on Thursday, and we'll go from there. But other than that, guys, we appreciate you listening. Wanted to make sure I touched on that local thread to end the podcast. Mike, anything else you wanted to add, sir?
I'm just happy my Bears were 9-3.
Your Bears. We won't talk about the Bengals. You can have the football.
No.
We'll take the basketball in Cincinnati, okay? All right, guys.
Hey, the Bengals beat the Ravens on Thanksgiving.
The Bengals did win. They're still in chaos.
I know.
I know. But Cincinnati sports and Chicago sports get along with that thing very frequently.
I know.
But guys, we'll be back probably on Sunday after the reveal. So make sure you stay tuned to that, and we will see you guys soon. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.